Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a difficult situation, wondering if there is light at the end of the tunnel? It's a feeling we've all had at some point when life feels overwhelming and it seems like there's no way out. Whether it's emotional pain, personal struggles, or difficult circumstances, there are times when we feel like we're walking in the dark, unsure of where to turn next. Life can sometimes feel like being in darkness, a place where things are unclear, where hope feels distant and where the weight of everything feels like too much to bear. We may find ourselves trapped in cycles of fear, hurt, disappointment, or confusion, and it seems like there's no way to break free. The darkness can take many forms. A season of loss, the struggle to heal from past wounds, or even feeling stuck in a place of uncertainty about our future. But here's the powerful truth: just as the dawn always follows the darkest part of the night, there is always a way out of darkness into light. God promises that no matter how deep the darkness feels, there is always light ahead. He's leading you out of that place, guiding you toward hope, healing, and restoration. God is not only aware of your struggles, but He's actively working to bring you into His light. The challenges you face are not your final destination. They are part of the journey God is using to bring you into something greater. The light He offers is the freedom, hope, and transformation you long for. You're not meant to stay in the dark forever. God's light is always there waiting for you to step into it and experience His transformative power. The journey out of the darkness may take time, and it may feel hard, but trust that God's light is already on the other side, ready to illuminate your path. The same way the sun rises after the darkest night, God is leading you into a new season of clarity and peace. In this video, I invite you to reflect on the times in your life when you've stepped into God's light. Share your stories in the comments. How has God brought you out of darkness and into His light? What transformation have you experienced because of His love and guidance? If this message has encouraged you, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Continue following us for more uplifting and faith-based content that reminds you of God's presence in your life, His ability to lead you through difficult times, and His promise to bring light into every dark season. Remember, the light is always closer than you think. God is leading you through, and the best is yet to come. In life, we all face moments of darkness, times when it feels like everything is difficult, unclear, or even impossible. Darkness in this sense doesn't only refer to the absence of light in a literal sense, but to emotional, mental, and spiritual struggles that leave us feeling lost, confused, or hopeless. These dark times may take on many forms, and they can happen at different stages of life, affecting us in unique ways. Yet regardless of the type of darkness we experience, it is vital to understand that darkness is not our final destination. It is merely a season we walk through, often with God by our side, leading us toward the light. One of the most common forms of darkness we experience is emotional struggles. These are the times when feelings of fear, anxiety, sadness, and despair overwhelm us. Emotional struggles can be triggered by personal disappointments, difficult relationships, mental health challenges, or even societal pressures. The weight of these emotions can make it feel like we're trapped in a perpetual state of darkness, unsure if or when we'll ever feel light again. For example, many people face depression or anxiety conditions that make it difficult to see the good in the world around them. The emotional burden of feeling trapped in these states can be exhausting, and often leaves people feeling disconnected from their true selves and from God. Emotional darkness can also be triggered by grief, rejection, or loss, all of which can create a sense of numbness, helplessness, or lack of control. But what we need to remember during these times is that God sees our pain and He is with us. He is not distant in our suffering, but actively working to bring healing to our emotional wounds. Though it may seem impossible in the moment, these emotional struggles are part of the refining process, and through them God works to build resilience, faith, and character. Another form of darkness many face is the trap of addictions, whether to substances, behaviors, or even thoughts. Addiction can feel like an overwhelming darkness, because it not only affects the body but also the mind and soul. It keeps people bound in cycles of shame, guilt, and desperation. Addictions create a sense of isolation, as the person caught in the cycle often feels like they are failing themselves and others unable to break free from the grip of their desires. Addiction in any form can take a heavy toll, pushing people further into darkness, and often it leads to feelings of worthlessness or hopelessness. Yet it is crucial to recognize that addiction is not the end. Just as Jesus came to bring freedom to the captives, Luke 4:18, he offers deliverance from the darkness of addiction. Many people who have struggled with addiction have found that although it is a difficult and painful journey, God's light can break through even the darkest places, offering healing, restoration, and a chance to start anew. The key to breaking free from addiction is understanding that it is not about self-reliance alone, but about trusting God and relying on His strength to overcome what seems impossible. Freedom from addiction is often a process, but with faith support and God's transformative power, it is possible to come out of that darkness into a brighter future. Failure is another powerful form of darkness that many encounter. Whether it's failing in a job, a relationship, or a personal goal, the emotional weight of failure can feel like a heavy cloud hanging over us. It can create a deep sense of regret, self-doubt, and inadequacy, making us question whether we are capable of achieving anything worthwhile. Many of us have experienced failure in one form or another, times when we fell short of expectations or when our best efforts didn't yield the desired results. Failure can often leave us feeling lost or confused about our purpose. But it is crucial to understand that failure is not final, it's simply a lesson, a stepping stone to growth. Every failure is an opportunity for learning and growth, even when it doesn't feel like it. Think of some of the great figures in history like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, or Walt Disney, who faced rejection and bankruptcy multiple times before building an empire. Failure teaches us perseverance and determination, and it can shape our character for the better if we let it. Remember, failure is never a permanent state. It is a process that leads to eventual success. And more importantly, God uses our failures to draw us closer to Him, teaching us humility, trust, and reliance on His plan, rather than on our own understanding. Grief is another form of darkness that can leave us feeling utterly lost and empty. The loss of a loved one, the end of a significant relationship, or the death of a dream can cause profound sorrow and a sense of disconnection from everything familiar. Grief can make us feel like we're walking through life in a haze, unable to experience joy or peace. The pain is real, and it often feels as though the weight of loss will never lift. But in the midst of grief, God promises comfort. Psalm 34:18 assures us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. When we are grieving, we are not alone. God walks with us in our sorrow, providing the comfort, healing, and strength we need to take the next step forward. Though the pain of grief may never fully disappear, God offers peace in the midst of it, and in time He brings healing and restoration to the broken parts of our hearts. Grief, like other forms of darkness, is not the end. It is a journey, a difficult one, but it is also one that leads us to greater healing, growth, and ultimately a deeper relationship with God. Spiritual darkness is perhaps one of the most difficult forms of darkness to endure. It's when we feel spiritually disconnected from God, when prayers seem to go unanswered, and when we find it hard to see His presence in our lives. Spiritual darkness can be marked by feelings of doubt, despair, or lack of purpose. This often happens during times of trial or challenge, when we feel like God has abandoned us, or when we are struggling to understand His will for our lives. However, spiritual darkness is not permanent. Even in these seasons, God is working in our hearts, calling us back to Him. The psalmist reminds us in Psalm 23:4, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." God is with us even when we feel the most distant from Him. Spiritual darkness often serves as a refining process. It's during these times that God invites us to dig deeper, strengthen our faith, and trust Him more fully. We may not always understand why we go through these dark seasons, but we can trust that God is working in us, drawing us closer to Him. The darkness you're experiencing right now, whether emotional, physical, spiritual, or relational, is not where you're meant to stay. Darkness serves a purpose in God's plan for us. It is in the darkness that we learn to depend on God, to trust Him with the things we can't control, and to grow in ways we never imagined. Darkness is a temporary season. No matter how deep the valley feels, it is the temporary season. The light of God's love, peace, and grace will eventually shine through. God's light always follows the darkness. In Isaiah 61, God says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." The darkness you're in is not permanent. God is preparing you for the light that's ahead. Darkness refines and strengthens us. The Bible tells us that trials and hardships are used by God to refine us like gold, 1 Peter 1:7. Just as gold must be heated and purified, so too must we go through difficult times to develop spiritual maturity and character. These challenges shape us, teaching us humility, resilience, and dependence on God. God's presence in darkness. Even in the darkest times, God is with us, as Psalm 23:4 reminds us. "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." We may not always feel His presence, but God is always close to us, offering comfort and guidance. When we face struggles, whether emotional pain, addiction, failure, grief, or spiritual darkness, it's easy to believe that we're stuck or that we're being punished. However, the truth is that struggles are often the moments in which God prepares us for the next stage of our journey. Growth doesn't happen without challenges. It is through the difficult seasons that we develop the faith, resilience, and character needed to handle the blessings and responsibilities ahead. Reflection. Think about your own life and the times you have walked through darkness. Can you see now that those struggles were part of your journey toward growth? Reflect on how God used those seasons to refine you and make you stronger. Trust that the darkness you're walking through is preparing you for something greater on the other side. The darkness in your life, no matter how long or difficult, is only a season. You're not meant to stay there. God is with you through it all, and He will bring you into His light when the time is right. Embrace the growth that comes from your struggles, trust in His process, and know that He's preparing you for greater things. The light is coming, and it will be worth every moment of waiting. Stepping into the light is a powerful moment of spiritual transformation. It signifies more than just leaving behind darkness. It is about embracing God's transformative power to bring clarity, peace, and freedom into our lives. In the darkness, we are often lost, confused, and bound by negative thoughts, emotions, or behaviors. But when we step into the light, we enter into a space where God's presence and His promises shine brightly, illuminating the path ahead and offering us a new perspective on life. This transition is not always immediate or easy, but it is vital for our growth as we move from a place of pain, confusion, and fear to one of peace, joy, and freedom. Spiritual transformation. The moment we step into the light, we experience spiritual renewal. This is not just a one-time event, but a continuous process that unfolds as we walk with God in our everyday lives. Stepping into the light means embracing God's truth and allowing His presence to shape our thoughts, actions, and relationships. It is about becoming more like Christ and allowing His light to guide our every step. In the light, we begin to see things clearly: our purpose, our identity in Christ, and the life He has called us to live. We gain a clearer understanding of who we are and what we are meant to do. The heavy burdens of confusion and doubt that once weighed us down begin to dissipate as God's truth and peace replace them. His light shines into the deepest parts of our hearts, offering healing and freedom from the pain of our past. It is important to understand that the journey from darkness into light is not instant. Often the shift from despair to hope, from confusion to clarity, takes time and patience. The process of coming into the light is not a one-time event, but a journey of spiritual growth that requires us to actively participate. There may be times when we still feel tempted by the darkness or find ourselves returning to old habits or patterns, but it is through the ongoing transformation that God works in our lives, shaping us and molding us into the people we are meant to be. Faith and trust are essential in this transition. We cannot make the journey from darkness to light on our own. It requires us to rely on God's strength, trust in His plan for our lives, and have faith that He is leading us towards something better. Stepping into the light is not about immediately becoming perfect or having everything figured out. It is about trusting that God is at work in us even when we don't see the full picture. During this process, God invites us to surrender our old ways of thinking and living and to embrace the new. This may mean letting go of past hurts, disappointments, or sinful behaviors that have kept us in the darkness. God calls us to leave behind the old and step into the newness of life He has for us. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but as we continue to walk in faith, we begin to see the fruits of God's work in our lives. Faith and trust play a crucial role in the transition from darkness to light. Embracing the light requires us to trust that God is leading us even when we cannot see the full journey ahead. There will be times when we feel uncertain or scared, but faith enables us to move forward even when the way isn't clear. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Faith is not based on what we can see with our eyes, but on the confidence that God is faithful to fulfill His promises. As we step into the light, we trust that God will lead us where we need to go, even if the path is not always clear at first. Trusting God means believing that He has a good plan for us and that He will guide us through the process of transformation. It also means trusting that God's timing is perfect even when we may feel impatient or frustrated by delays. Moving into the light is about choosing to trust that God knows what is best for us and that He is using every part of our journey, including the hard times, to shape us into who we are meant to be. Trust also requires obedience, actively following God's leading even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. Sometimes stepping into the light means leaving behind things we have clung to for comfort or control. It means stepping out of our comfort zones and trusting that God will catch us when we step out in faith. We may not always understand why we are going through certain struggles, but we can trust that God is leading us through them for a greater purpose. One of the clearest declarations of Jesus as the light of the world is found in John 8:12. When Jesus spoke again to the people, He said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." This verse speaks directly to the heart of what it means to step into the light. Jesus Himself is the light. He is the one who dispels darkness and brings light into our lives. As we follow Him, we are no longer walking in confusion or fear, but we are walking in the light of life, a life full of purpose, clarity, and hope. Jesus' invitation to follow Him is not just about a one-time decision, but an ongoing journey. The moment we accept Jesus into our lives, we step into His light, but the journey doesn't end there. We are called to continue following Him, walking in His light daily, allowing His word to guide us and His love to transform us. As we follow Jesus, we experience freedom from sin, peace in the midst of trials, and hope that no darkness can overcome. Stepping into the light requires action. It's not just about wishing for things to change or hoping that the darkness will disappear on its own. While God's grace and power are at work, He calls us to actively participate in the transformation process. This means that we must take steps to move toward the light, steps that require faith, trust, and obedience. Forgiving, one of the most important actions we must take when stepping into the light, is forgiving. Holding on to bitterness, anger, or unforgiveness keeps us in the darkness, blocking the light of God's love and healing. Forgiveness is a choice. It's an act of the will that releases others from the power they have over us. God has forgiven us, and in His light we are called to forgive others as well. The act of forgiveness brings freedom and peace, allowing us to walk fully in the light of God's grace. Healing. Stepping into the light also involves healing. Healing from emotional wounds, physical ailments, or spiritual brokenness. Healing is a process and it takes time. It requires us to be vulnerable, to face our pain, and to allow God to work in our hearts. God's light brings healing and restoration, and as we step into it, we are made whole again, moving forward in trust. Lastly, stepping into the light requires moving forward in trust. This means leaving behind the past, whether it's past mistakes, regrets, or even the comfort of our old ways. Trusting God means letting go of control and embracing the new thing He's doing in our lives. It means walking with Him one step at a time, confident that He will guide us into the light and that He will fulfill His promises to us. Stepping into the light is the beginning of a journey of transformation that continues as we walk daily in God's presence. The light is not a place we visit occasionally, but a place where we are called to live. As we follow Jesus, we are called to live in the light, to be a reflection of His love and grace, and to share that light with others. John 12:46 says, "I have come into the world as a light, so that no one who believes in me should stay in darkness." Jesus came to bring light to the world, and as His followers, we are called to carry that light with us, sharing it with those around us. The light of God's truth and love can break through the darkest places, and we are called to be a beacon of that light to others. The process of coming into the light is a spiritual journey that requires faith, trust, and action. It's not always easy and it takes time, but the good news is that God is with us every step of the way. He is the light that leads us out of darkness, and as we follow Him, we are transformed. Stepping into the light means embracing God's love, healing, forgiveness, and trust. It is about moving forward in faith, knowing that with every step we are becoming more like Him. If you find yourself in darkness today, take heart, the light is just ahead. Trust God's process, follow His leading, and step boldly into the light He offers. Living in the light is a powerful and transformative experience. It goes beyond just stepping out of the darkness. It is about remaining in God's light, staying connected to Him, and walking daily in the truth and freedom that His light provides. The decision to step into the light is the first step, but living in the light requires ongoing commitment to walk in God's presence and embrace the life He has called us to live. When we come out of the darkness, it is not enough to simply say that we've been saved or transformed. Living in the light is a continuous journey. It means that we choose to maintain that connection with God, to keep our hearts and minds open to His leading, and to walk in obedience to His will. The light is not just a one-time breakthrough, it is a lifestyle that reflects God's presence in everything we do. God's light reveals truth and brings clarity, allowing us to see things as they truly are without distortion or fear. Living in the light means we no longer hide from ourselves, from others, or from God. The light of God brings honesty, transparency, and courage into our lives. No longer do we have to live in fear or uncertainty about who we are or what our future holds, because in the light we are aligned with God's truth, and that truth brings peace. One of the most significant aspects of living in the light is the purpose and clarity it brings. When we live in God's light, we are no longer stumbling in confusion but walking in God's truth. We can clearly see who we are, what we are meant to do, and where we are headed. The darkness clouds our judgment, causing us to question our purpose and feel uncertain. But in the light there is no confusion. God's will becomes clear, and we are empowered to pursue it. Living in the light also means living with intention. We are not merely existing or drifting through life, we are intentionally walking out the purpose God has set before us. Purpose is the foundation of a life well lived, and God's light helps us see that purpose clearly. It gives us a sense of direction and calls us to use our lives to make an impact on the world around us. As we live in the light, we begin to understand that our lives are part of something much greater, God's kingdom, and we're called to participate in His plan. In Ephesians 5:8, Paul reminds us, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light." This verse underscores the profound shift that happens when we step into the light. We are no longer defined by the darkness of our past, but by the purpose and clarity that comes from living in the light. We are called to walk in that light, living with intentionality and clarity in all that we do. Living in the light brings not only clarity and purpose, but also profound benefits that touch every area of our lives. When we walk in God's light, we experience 1. Freedom from fear. One of the most significant benefits of living in the light is freedom from fear. The darkness holds us captive, binding us with fear, anxiety, and doubt. But when we step into the light, we are freed from the chains that once held us back. Fear thrives in the darkness because it creates uncertainty and confusion. But God's light dispels fear by bringing truth and clarity. In the light, we are able to trust God's promises, knowing that He is always with us and that His plans for us are good. 1 John 4:18 says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." When we live in the light of God's love, fear cannot remain. God's perfect love casts out all fear, giving us confidence and peace. We no longer have to live in fear of the unknown or fear that we are not good enough. In the light, we know we are loved, valued, and secure in God's care. 2. Inner peace. Another significant benefit of living in the light is the peace that comes with it. In darkness, there is often a sense of turmoil, restlessness, and a constant battle within. The anxiety of not knowing what's next or feeling disconnected from our true selves can create inner chaos. But in God's light, there is peace. As we step into the light, we find that God's presence calms our hearts and minds. The truth of who He is brings us comfort, and His promises provide a sense of security. In Philippians 4:7, Paul writes, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This peace is a supernatural peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, but comes from knowing that we are secure in God's love and care. When we live in the light, we experience freedom from anxiety and the deep peace that only God can give. 3. Hope. Living in the light also brings hope. In the darkness, hope can feel elusive and we can be easily overwhelmed by despair. When we are walking in the light, we begin to see that there is always hope because God's promises are true. No matter what we face, we know that God is working everything for our good. Romans 8-28. The light reveals the truth that God is in control and that no matter how difficult life may seem, He has a purpose for everything. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." Hope is not just a fleeting feeling, it is a fruit of the Holy Spirit and a mark of living in the light. We know that no matter what we go through, hope remains because we are anchored in God's promises. 4. A deeper connection with God and others. Living in the light doesn't just affect our relationship with ourselves and our circumstances, it also deepens our connection with others. When we live in the light, we no longer have to hide behind masks or live in fear of being judged. We can be authentic knowing that God has already accepted us as we are. This authenticity opens the door for deeper, more meaningful relationships with others based on honesty and trust. The light also deepens our connection with God. As we walk in the light, we grow closer to Him, seeing more clearly His purpose for our lives. We begin to experience a greater intimacy with God, knowing Him not only as Saviour, but also as the one who guides, comforts, and transforms us. Living in the light means being open to hearing God's voice and being led by His Spirit every step of the way. The Bible beautifully captures the power of living in the light in 1 John 1:7. "But if we walk in the light as He is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, His Son, purifies us from all sin." This verse encapsulates the essence of living in the light. Walking in the light means living in the presence of God and being aligned with His will. It's not just about avoiding darkness, it's about actively walking in fellowship with God and with other believers. The light that God provides purifies us, cleansing us from all sin and offering us forgiveness and freedom. When we choose to walk in the light, we are not alone. We have fellowship with one another. The light brings unity, connection, and community. As we share in the light of Christ, we are united in faith, love, and purpose, encouraging each other along the journey. When we choose to step into and embrace the light, our lives are transformed. No longer do we walk in fear, confusion, or doubt. Instead, we walk in confidence, peace, and purpose, knowing that God is leading us every step of the way. Living in the light means embracing God's truth, allowing it to shape our lives and guide our decisions. It means living out our faith in a way that reflects God's love and character. As we embrace the light, we begin to see the world and ourselves through a new lens. God's light transforms everything from the way we see our circumstances to the way we relate to others and to God Himself. A transformed life is marked by joy, peace, hope, and a sense of purpose. It is no longer a life defined by the darkness of fear, confusion, or sin. It is a life marked by freedom, clarity, and new possibilities. As we walk in the light, we experience the fullness of life that God intended for us. Living in the light is not just about escaping darkness, it is about embracing the freedom, peace, and purpose that come from walking in God's presence. When we live in the light, we are free from fear, filled with hope, and connected to God and others in deeper, more meaningful ways. The light brings clarity and transforms us into the people God has called us to be. Embrace the light and allow it to transform your life, bringing joy, peace, and purpose to every step of your journey. As we wrap up our journey through this message, let's take a moment to reflect on the key points we've discussed. We all experience dark seasons in life, moments when it feels like we're stuck, overwhelmed, or lost. These times are part of life, but they are not our final destination. Darkness in its various forms is temporary. Though it may seem like we are walking through a never-ending tunnel, God's light is always waiting to shine through and lead us to brighter days. Remember, darkness does not define you. It's simply a passage to a greater purpose. Moving from darkness to light is a process of spiritual renewal, growth, and transformation. This journey requires faith, patience, and trust in God's plan. While the road may not always be easy or immediate, God is at work within us, preparing us for the light that lies ahead. Every step you take in faith, no matter how small, brings you closer to the freedom and clarity that God promises. Once we step into God's light, we live with purpose, clarity, and freedom. We no longer need to be bound by fear, confusion, or despair. Living in the light means being fully aligned with God's will for our lives, seeing things as they truly are, and living with a sense of direction and peace. The light brings joy, hope, and a deep sense of peace that only God can provide. You're not alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way, guiding, strengthening, and empowering you to walk in His light. No matter how dark your current season may seem, trust that God is leading you out of that darkness and into the brightness of His love, peace, and purpose. Keep moving forward, knowing that His light will continue to shine brighter with every step you take in faith. I want to encourage you to reflect on your current struggles and remember that they are not permanent. The darkness you may be facing right now is temporary, and there is light waiting for you. Take that step of faith today. Choose to embrace God's light and walk in it daily. As you do, trust that God is with you, guiding your every step. I also invite you to share your stories in the comments below. How have you stepped into God's light in your life? How has His transformation changed your journey? Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs to take that first step out of darkness. If this message has been encouraging to you, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to support one another in our journeys and stay connected through uplifting, faith-based content. Remember, you are never too far from God's light. No matter how deep the darkness feels, God is leading you out and into a brighter future filled with His peace, joy, and purpose. Trust His guidance, step into the light, and let His love transform you. God's light is waiting for you. Step forward and embrace it. You're not alone on this journey.